Right, so let's discuss how to identify perpetrators, hive minds, remote neural monitoring, how to catch that evidence. So, I don't know if you've ever watched most of the detective and police shows out there, but they have a common theme. Whenever a crime's been committed, and even statistically, you can do this research yourselves if you don't believe me. Statistically, you're most likely to be a victim of crime from someone who knows you. So most perpetrators are people you know. It's the same with targeted individuals. Most of the perpetrators are going to be people you know. These are friends and family. And the reasons for targeting you are simple, basic, instinctive um, things like jealousy, yeah, and people just being bad-minded and uh, just peer rivalries and family rivalries. These are the things that lead people to become perpetrators. So if you're a targeted individual, um, that is not someone of note, it's not someone who's in the public eye, who would have any reason to target you? Yeah, if there are weapons being used against you, chances are someone you know instigated it. So you don't need to be Columbo or some big ass detective to figure that out. Soon as a crime's done against someone, you ask, the first thing you look for are the friends and family to find out where they were. Every cop knows that. Every detective, private eye, everybody knows that when you're solving a crime, the people who are most likely to have done it are the people you know. You're a targeted individual. If somebody's called someone with a microwave gun to be used on you, to ask them to use it on you, it will be someone you know. Now, the way of detecting it, especially for those who suspect to be targeted by hive minds or remote neural networks, uh, you need to these are experiments I do from day to day. Exclude yourself from people, because the people closest to you are the ones who are most likely to do you harm. So what I do, I stay away from people, period. Yeah. And I'm not asking anyone to do crime, so consider this to be a disclaimer. I'm not saying you should go out there and do crime, but as an experiment, you can sit in your room and just think in your head. Just think of I don't know, a supermarket, and just say, look, I'm going to rob this supermarket. Just think that in your head. Don't say it to anyone. Don't say it out loud in your private life. Just say it in your head. Yeah, I'm going to rob a supermarket. Say that. Then go outside, not to rob the supermarket, but just go outside towards it. If you see a whole load of cops, yeah, coming towards you and acting like they're gonna be there, yeah, then you know that your mind is being monitored. Yeah, they might have you on a hive minds kind of setup or remote neural monitoring setup here. Yeah, and also what I like to do is think things which I know will provoke friends and family if I ever said it out loud. Yeah, these are things I just think about. I'll think, let's say I have a female friend, yeah, and I have uh, male friends who like her, and I start imagining myself having sex with her, yeah, just to see if my male friends are gonna react like are gonna act like I'm gonna go for her, yeah. That would let me know that they're watching my mind, yeah. Now I've been looking at the 6 most common diseases that men get, yeah. These are cardiovascular disease, lung disease, prostate cancer, depression, diabetes, and erectile dysfunction. Now, obviously, these are things that if you're in a hive mind or remote neural monitoring setup, that things that can be induced, yeah, into you. Now, obviously, when you're targeted for prostate cancer and erectile dysfunction, they will use gang stalking to make sure that every female, yeah, that you look at is either threatened, approached, and instructed not to have any sexual relations with you. The objective for them is to make sure you do not ejaculate, because if you don't ejaculate, it gets clogged up down there. So by making sure that every female that you look to ejaculate in is kept away from you, they make sure you can't ejaculate. That's the first step. That can be achieved by just them gang stalking you, just following you around. When they see a female aroused by you, or you arousing their interest, they will stand in her field of vision as she's talking to you, yeah, behind your back. They'll stand in her field of vision and start the NLP to make all negative gestures to put her off you from behind you. So most of the time, if you're a targeted individual, you meet a woman and say, oh, hi, how are you? Yeah. And then her vision or her gaze will be distracted, yeah, and she'll start to look behind your shoulder, and these are people who are doing, so that's how you know. So every woman you approach, they'll be gang stalking you, trying to make sure that that can't happen. And then if you do try to ejaculate by other means like masturbation, this is when they will try the second stage, which is neuro-language or neuro-linguistic programming. This will be your friends and family, those closest to you, who start to kind of make you feel negative in a kind of social engineering way, again using neurolinguistics, to make you not do that. And obviously that's going to lead you to erectile dysfunction and prostate cancer if you do not ejaculate. So you can also use that as an experiment. You can ejaculate in an enclosure in your room, and then go outside, see which ones of your friends and families make a comment to that. Remember, don't tell anyone. You don't do these things in public, do you? You don't masturbate in public. You do that privately, but don't tell anyone. And if somebody makes a comment regarding that, yeah, if you're a targeted individual, just note down their names. Note down their names. These are the people who are trying to give you one of those top 6, which is erectile dysfunction and prostate cancer. Lung cancer, that one is just people who are always going to want you to smoke, and when you try to quit smoking, they're going to deliberately try and get cigarettes around you. Your friends and family will try and do that. So that's normal. You can avoid that by just avoiding people. Cardiovascular and diabetes. Now, obviously, every time you try to exercise, you start to feel some negativity. They'll start to act like they saw it and they're displeased. So I'd always exercise in my room away from gazing eyes. So when I exercise and I go outside, if somebody makes a comment to it, always put them in a situation where they have to explain how they saw it. If you do things away from them, yeah, they're going to have to explain how they saw that. If they can't explain that, they're not going to come forward and admit that they're perpetrators. So I exercise in my room and I make sure no one sees it. I know they don't like it, and I go outside and people start showing me signs that they're not pleased with me. They don't like the fact that I exercise. I told you, they're trying to give you cardiovascular disease and diabetes. Yeah, so these are the top 6 diseases that they give men, and it's normally through people becoming targeted individuals that you'll be given these diseases. Yeah, you have peer rivalries and family rivalries, and someone in your peer and family group will go and ask someone in the government or someone in the system to use these weapons on you. Hive minds will be set up. They might put chips in you. Remote neural monitoring might start to happen. They might start using microwave guns on you. I mean, I've had cases where I've had vans parking up here with antennas sticking out of them, or with television or broadcasting equipment in them. And as long as you have broadcasting equipment, then you can as well have microwave guns with you. So that will start to happen, but it has to be a member of your family or friends network that instigates it, because you're a stranger to everyone. No one has a reason to target you. So it stems from those conspiracies that we have from our day-to-day lives with family and friends. Yeah, I'm not saying turn against your family. Don't turn against them. Remember, until you have concrete evidence, just note it down and make sure that the things you need to do for your health, things which are pivotal to your health, you do away from your friends and family. And then note down who complains about it, because no one's supposed to know if they're done, like in the Schrodinger cat situation, in a box. A box is a ceiling, 4 walls, and a floor. That's a box. If no one can see inside that box, no one can claim to have seen it. Yeah. So we've got entanglements where entanglement law, which means that if two particles, so if your consciousness become entangled with each other, if they're in the same room and they separate, it is possible to see inside that box if you're shorting a cat. But that's another lecture I'm going to give. But as for this one, how to identify perpetrators in your friends and family networks, and how to protect yourself against them, just basically the protection is just the knowledge, just exposure. Knowledge is power. It works like placebo. Once you know that the sweet pill has sweet in it, it's not going to work. But when you don't know, yeah, it works. But once you realize that it's a sweet pill, it doesn't work anymore. That's the same thing, but in reverse. So once you realize that they're trying to lead you to have diabetes, lung cancer, and all these other forms of diseases, yeah, once you realize the mechanism and the actual identities of these perpetrators, it stops working, because that's how your mind works. It's reverse placebo. Knowledge is power. Once you know who they are and what disease they're targeting, if they've ordered all women to make sure they don't have anything to do with you, and they have friends and family who are always making sly comments when you ejaculate, when you masturbate, then you know they're trying to give you prostate cancer or some kind of erectile dysfunction. What you do in that case, you set yourself up a schedule. You say you wank every 3 days, every 2 days, and you keep to that schedule, yeah, and you just note down who complains about it, yeah. And when they want to give you cardiovascular disease, you just set up a schedule to exercise. You do all this behind closed doors where no one's present. You exercise every day, and just note down who complains about it. That's who's trying to give you it. And this helps your mind, yeah. Knowing who it is helps your mind, yeah, overcome what they're trying to do to you.